just starting out, buttonholes can seem kind of scary, but really you just have to know all of the steps and they're not that bad. They're pretty versatile. It's a good thing to know how to do. You can use them on garments, obviously. You can also use them on bags, like this tote bag. There's a little tab that has a button closure on the top. You can use them on lots of home decor projects. You can use them to put drawstrings and things. So it's a really, really versatile skill and a good thing to tackle. So we're going to learn how to do a buttonhole on the Singer 1234. I have here a replica of the tab from that tote bag. So the first thing we need to do is actually mark it so that we know where to put our buttonhole. I have a replica of the tab from my tote bag that I'm going to sew a buttonhole in. So the first thing I have to do is actually mark where I'm going to stitch the buttonhole. So to do that, I'm going to take the button that I'll be using on my bag and place it right where I want it to be on the finished product. I'm going to take a disappearing fabric marker and I'm going to put a line at the top and the bottom. So this is just marking the boundary of where we need our buttonhole to be. Now I'm going to take a straight edge and connect those two lines with a vertical line. So I'm basically making a capital I shape. And that's how we're going to mark our buttonhole so we know where to sew. Now it's time to get our machine ready. So first I'm going to change the foot to the buttonhole foot. So you want to look through your accessories and find your buttonhole foot. It has a B at the top. You want to hold it so that you're reading the B and it's right side up, and you want to find the metal slider, and that goes on the bottom. We're going to just pop off the regular foot, so we'll move that towards us. And we're going to attach the buttonhole foot on that little metal slider. So that little metal bar is just going to snap right into the ankle, that white portion of the machine, like that. The buttonhole on the Singer 1234 is a 4-step buttonhole. So there's 3 actually little stitches, but they all have different numbers 1 through 4. So those are going to be the sequence of the steps that we take to make the buttonhole. So we're going to start by setting it on number 1. And the buttonhole starts at the bottom of the eye, so that's the portion that we're going to line up in the foot. So we want to move the fabric so that the bottom part of that capital I is just visible in the window of the presser foot. And you can even hand crank the needle down towards the fabric just to make sure it's really lined up. And you want the vertical line of the letter I to be centered on that open window. So once we're all set up and ready, we're going to push on the pedal and sew the first side of the buttonhole. So it's going to sew up the left side. And when we get to the top, to our other mark on that capital I, we're going to stop. We need to finish our stitch, so we're going to turn the hand wheel towards us until our take-up lever comes back to the top, and then we're going to switch to number 2. And that's going to sew across the top of the buttonhole. It's called a bar tack. And you really only want to sew about 10 or so stitches just so it doesn't get too bulky. We're going to then finish that stitch by turning the hand wheel till the take-up lever comes up, and we'll go to stitch number 3. That's going to stitch down the other side of the buttonhole. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then when we get to the bottom, we'll stop again, finish our stitch, and go to stitch number 4. That's going to sew another bar tack, this time across the bottom of the buttonhole. Again, we'll stop after about 10 or so stitches, finish our stitch, lift our presser foot, and pull out our buttonhole. So at this point, what you can do is take a hand sewing needle and thread the upper threads through the hand sewing needle and bring them to the back of the fabric, and then just tie a knot. And then the very last step is opening up the buttonhole. So to do that, we're going to take some straight pins, and we're actually going to put them through the top and the bottom bar tacks. This is because we're about to cut through the fabric, and we want to make sure that we don't accidentally cut the stitching that we just took the time to do. So the pins are going to protect those bar tacks and make sure they don't get cut by accident. So once you have the pins in at the top and the bottom, we're going to take our seam ripper and stick it right down in the middle of the buttonhole, and carefully slice through the fabric without slicing our stitching to the end. And that metal pin is going to stop the seam ripper so that we don't slice through our thread. We'll turn it around and do the exact same thing on the other side all the way to the end. Take out our pins, and then our buttonhole is totally done. Super easy. When you're just starting out, buttonholes can seem kind of scary, but really you just have to know all of the steps and they're not that bad. They're pretty versatile. It's a good thing to know how to do. You can use them on garments, obviously. You can also use them on bags, like this tote bag. There's a little tab that has a button closer on the top. You can use them on lots of home decor projects. You can use them to put drawstrings and things. So it's a really, really versatile skill and a good thing to tackle. So we're going to learn how to do a button.